Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripasannubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Sri Govinda Datta Prabhu, for keeping the vibration going. And Shraddha Devi Dasi, and everyone else. Is anybody here for the first time? Wow, welcome. Where are you all from? Dublin. In the East Bay?
Yeah.
How are things in Dublin?
Good. Better here?
Dublin is, let's see, that's in relationship to Berkeley.
Pleasanton.
Pleasanton, it's over on that side, way out there. How long did it take you to get over here?
Probably 45 minutes.
45?
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Sunday, yeah. Rush hour could be 45 days.
Hopefully not.
Well, welcome. How did you find out about the temple here?
Well, we looked online and we just kind of...
You saw us online?
Yeah, we came across it online.
Nice. Have you been to an ISKCON temple previously?
Oh, yeah, we're from... Yeah.
Where?
We're very familiar with ISKCON.
Oh, and where did you frequent ISKCON temples previously?
There's one in Culver City.
Yeah?
In LA.
Yeah, sure. You used to live in LA?
Yeah.
So you went to see Rukmini Dwarkadish? New Dwarka. They call it New Dwarka. Shishi Rukmini Dwarkadish.
But the best one we've been to, the most spiritual, holy vibration that we experienced was in Vrindavan.
In Vrindavan? Wow. Not surprising. And when did you go there?
We've been there many times.
I see.
Last time was about 4 years ago.
And what part of the year did you go to?
What part of the year?
What time of year did you go to visit Vrindavan?
Nina, do you remember when we went? December.
December. That's a
December,
nice time
January,
to be in Vrindavan. Beautiful. Very nice. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And so now you live in Dublin? Well, thank you for coming all the way over. It's so nice to have you here. Anybody else? First time? And does anybody have any questions? Questions are the answer. Atato Brahma Jignasa. Yes, Shraddha Devi Dasi.
Prabhuji, I had a question about Guru Parampara.
Mm-hmm.
And on the altar, when you put the various pictures of the Guru, in which order should we? How should you line those up? Left to right, like if you have your.
Like this.
And then if you have the Shad Goswamis, 6 Goswamis, then they come on the left or on the right? How do they go?
Either way.
Okay.
But if you're lining them up like that, then you can put them on the right. Yeah. What other questions? Hansapriya.
Govindatta Prabhu just mentioned that in this age, the conditional soul is always disturbed. So we have a tendency not to stay disturbed and try to get out of it. However, it's just some days are good and some days are bad. So how can we have the gradual incremental way to get out of being undisturbed?
One way is to have goals in your life. because when you have a goal, your mind tends to not be disturbed as much because you're working towards a worthy goal. The mind becomes very disturbed when it's not sure where it's going. It's like in a corporation, when employees don't have an idea where they're going or what the mission is, then they tend to get overwhelmed by the day-to-day difficulties they have in interacting and the obstacles that they face. In fact, it's said that if people think they're going to be better off in 5 years than they are now, they have an idea what the future looks like, where they're going, what their goal is, then they do more than they have to in their daily work. And if they think that it's going to be about the same in 5 years, then they do just what they have to do. And if they think it's going to be worse, then they quit. And when in our daily spiritual practice, when we have a set program, we know, as the Goswamis, Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibi Kalavasani Krito, they had very specific measures of how their day went according to how their sadhana went. They'd count Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Natibi, certain number of names, certain number of bowing down, certain number of prayers and such. And they would strive to meet those. And in the process of doing that, as we fix our daily sadhana, and not just for quantity but also for quality, then our life tends to mold around those goals. And the other things that come as obstacles are, we just see them as obstacles that we have to deal with in order to get to our goal. Otherwise, they seem altogether daunting. So having a steady practice and also being accountable to some teacher. If you have somebody that you is monitoring your goals, looking after you and saying, did you make your goal? And you have a place to check in and say, I made my goal, I didn't make my goal. Then you can think of that person who's coaching you along, someone who's more advanced than you in whatever you're practicing. If you're responsible to that person and you're working under that person's care, then it also pacifies the mind, because then you have someone to look to when you're feeling overwhelmed, and you also have a realization that that person has already dealt with these other kinds of obstacles as well. You'll take inspiration from that, from looking at that person and saying, they got to where they're going because they endured these various obstacles. You might even find out about those in their life and take inspiration from that. So to fix your mind on a teacher who helps you along, a shiksha guru, someone who is able to instruct you because he or she has been through various kinds of practices and gone through, crossed over obstacles, and then you work with that person to set goals in your own life, and then it's exciting. You set those goals, and you know from the time, you're only sleeping then because you want to refresh yourself so you can wake up and meet your goal. You're not throwing in the towel, so to speak, when you go to sleep, like I give up, but you're actually excited because you're going to sleep to wake up to begin again in the process. And this is the creative impetus is there within the soul. It's natural. Even in the lower species of life, in the animal species, there's a competitive spirit, a wanting to move ahead. And when we create that in our spiritual life as well, then these obstacles are there, but we can meet them and figure out how to get around them because we can see where we're going and we have the support to get there. So you have to take shelter of a regulated practice. And regulation is very important for the senses to overcome the mind. To know what your standard is and to keep it on a regular basis. You get also numerical strength. When you have a regular spiritual practice, you do it every day, you actually get strong in the practice. And then from that strength, you're able to overcome the days when there are anomalies. because you still have momentum from the days you took advantage. You can take it for granted that there will be peaks and valleys, and there will be good days and bad days. So you should take full advantage when you come to the good days. When you see some open field, go for it. Close the gap. Because the next day you might not have any opening. And then at least you got ahead on that point. And we should close all the gaps. We should be in an alert state in our spiritual practice that we're closing the gaps. We're not lax when there's opportunity. We take full advantage of it. Could lead to so many things. You never know. When you get a tiny, what appears to be a small opportunity for service, you have a small idea for advancing your spiritual life, take full advantage of it. I recommend always carry with you a pad like this and a pen like this, no matter where you go. Because when a good idea comes or an inspiration, write it down and then follow up on it as soon as you can. Because those tiny little advances that you take advantage. When you get some inspiration, don't think, oh, it'll come back later. Take it now. As soon as you get it, take it, put it down, capture it. This is one of the great techniques of advancement, is capture everything. Don't let it go. Don't think, I'll get it later. Because that could be next lifetime, and that could be 1,000 lifetimes from now. Get it right now. So this bias for action and this kind of, impetus, this is called anarta kalatvam. It's one of the symptoms of advancement in spiritual life, mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami, in which one feels, I won't waste even a moment. Every little gap counts. In fact, it's those little moments when you have the opportunity to continuously chant Hare Krishna. As Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport of the verse, Shri Pram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvash Nagachiti Konteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakti Pranashiti. This is Krishna saying in the Gita that declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotees never vanquish. Those who follow this path, they very soon they rise up to this advanced position. Shri Pram Bhavati Dharmatma. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about chanting Hare Krishna without stoppage. He uses those words. Think about what that means. And the mind has a tendency to want to take a little time off. But close those gaps. And within those gaps, when you're able to continue chanting Hare Krishna, the mind says, oh, here's a break, but you go on chanting. You'll get something special from that, connection to the holy name. In Vraj, no one sleeps. In Vrindavan Dham, nobody sleeps. There's always activity. That's what Vraj means. Vraj means constant alacrity, constant excitement. It's Sreya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravu Druma Bhumish Chintamani Ghanamai Toyam Amritam Kata Ganam Natyam Gamanam Apivam Shiprayasaki Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapi Taraswadyam Apicha. This description of Goloka is that they're always dancing. There's always activity going on, and there's no, even at night, Krishna's thinking of how to go out. So there's no stopping. It's always dynamic, always activity going on. Yes.
Just to follow up to that you have goals and you are working on them, but we find still that there are distractions. The age of Kali Yuga, very aptly, is the age of disturbance, but one observes in one's own life that you are determined to focus on something, you have set a goal, but there are distractions coming from all sides. People want things, there are requests. Somebody says, can you attend to this today? There are deadlines, these things. And they may not be necessarily part of your goal, but they are secondary activities that one has to attend to. So how would one deal with that? Would you kind of set some like priorities here where you would say goal comes first and only these other things are going to come a little later?
Oh, first of all, while I'm giving the answer, could somebody please look up these two words? One of them I want you to look up is disturb, and the other is distract. Okay, so one thing is that you should learn to. There are ways to isolate yourself or protect yourself from some kinds of disturbances. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked what a devotee is, he said, "Asatsangatag e Vaishnavachar." He said somebody who's a devotee is a person who avoids bad association. Because bad association will definitely distract you. And this indicates a kind of way that a devotee will insulate him or herself from distractions. You can see where they come from in your life. Do an audit in your life and find out where most of the distractions come from, and then do your best to eliminate them. There may be unnecessary distractions coming in from certain places, and so take care of those. If it's coming in from the phone, then like I noticed with Hanumat Preshek Swami, sometimes if you ever call him, there's a message machine that says, "I'll accept calls on Tuesday morning between 8 o'clock and 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. That's it, So he knows, everyone else knows, he'll take a call from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning, right? That's a way of building a parameter, and everyone knows what the boundaries are. If your boundaries are wide open and anyone can just reach you at any time, then you may be distracted, because there's a lot of ways that we're very porous these days. There's a lot of angles that, it used to be if you're driving in your car, that was time you could think or whatever, but now, why didn't she answer the phone? You have a hands-free telephone, your phone, you could have answered. And there's so many other ways. So that's one thing. And the other is to know that there will be distractions. Naturally, things come up that you don't expect. Just in time management, you have to account for that. And that's why I said earlier, take full advantage of the times that you do have, and don't think that you won't be disturbed during them. Did you find? Yes. We're just I want to hear what these words mean. Disturb and distract. Go right ahead.
Distract, to cause to turn away from the original focus of attention or interest.
Go really slow. Say it really slow.
To cause to turn away from the original focus of attention.
Original focus of attention. So this is what I said before. You have to have an original focus of attention. Your goal is there, right? Go ahead.
Divert.
To divert.
To pull in conflicting emotional directions, unsettle.
Pull in conflicting emotional directions, to
Yes.
unsettle.
Yes.
Sounds familiar. What else? And can you look and see what the etymology is? Where does the word come from?
So it's Latin distractus, of distrahere, to pull away.
To what?
To pull away.
Deploy?
To pull away.
To pull away.
Yes.
To pull away. I mean, I was thinking it was related to the word attract. I'm not sure. Attract, distract. I'm not sure if there's any connection whatsoever.
No, it doesn't.
Huh?
No, it doesn't say.
No connection. Okay, so it's something that pulls you away, a distraction.
I was thinking that there is a connection with attract and distract, because there's a tract over there, that's the path that you're going to, and that was your focus. So attract means you're on the track, and distract
We'll look
is
up
not on
attract and see where it comes from.
And I'm speculating because
Okay.
So the other word is disturb.
The other word is what? Disturb. Disturb. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, disturb, to interrupt the quiet, rest, peace, or order of unsettle. again to interrupt the quiet,
To
rest,
interrupt the quiet,
peace,
rest,
or order of
peace,
unsettle.
or understand. And where does it come from?
There are several other meanings. The second meaning is to interfere with, interrupt, hinder. Third meaning is to interfere with the arrangement, order, or harmony of, disarrange. And the last one is to perplex, trouble. And it is there is fifth one also, to cause disturbance to someone's sleep, rest, etc. Its origin is I don't know how to read this. Disturban and disturber.
What language?
It's I don't know how to read this.
Does it have an L? Does it
Yeah,
have
there is
an
an
OE?
L there.
That
L
means
there.
Latin. It comes from Latin.
And there is also ME, and there is also
Middle
A.
English.
Middle English. Okay.
Okay, so what does it say? The
Middle
meaning.
English is disturban. And then it says disturban, and is the AF. What does AF mean?
I
And
don't know,
then-
but tell us what meaning is.
There is no mean. So for it lists all those things, and then it says to demolish, upset.
To demolish or upset.
Upset.
Okay, that's the root of the word. And attract.
They both do have a similar.
There, we got somewhere. Okay, tell us the similarity.
So both. So the Middle English root for distract is distractin, and then the Middle English root for attract is attractin.
Okay,
So.
so attract, distract. So point is that we have to be attracted somewhere. And if we're not attracted, we'll be distracted. And Krishna's name means the attractor. That's what Krishna means. He's the one who attracts everyone. So unless our mind is going in the direction of Krishna and being attracted, tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan satvatam pati shotavya kirtitavyascha deyam pujas shanityada. So one should, with one pointed attention, Shastra says, Sutta Goswami says at the outset of the Bhagavatam, that tat ekada, that with one pointed attention, one should fix one's mind on hearing, chanting, and remembering and worshiping Krishna. And this is how we, and we'll start to develop attraction through this process. And also, Bhagavatam says that through your work, whatever occupation you have, you should be developing attraction for Krishna, he says. Sutta Goswami says, Dharma, dharma, swanustita pumsam vishvakshena katasuya, notpadiyad yadiratim shrama evahi kevalam. And that is, unless you're developing attraction for Krishna through your work, through your occupation, through the way you're organizing your life, whatever you're doing is a waste of time. And Queen Kunti says, Twaime ananya vishaya, matir madhu pate sakrit, ratim udvahatadada, gange vaugam udanvati. That just like the Ganges flows to the sea without being stopped by anything. So similarly, she says, let my mind be drawn to you, Krishna, in the same way. Have the same draw. How's that possible? We're already attracted to the material world. Rupa Goswami gives this verse, Yuvatinam yata yuni, yunam cha yuvatao yata, mano biramate tadvan, mano me ramatam twayi. And he says, he gives this mundane example that just as the minds of young boys are attracted to young girls, and young girls are attracted to young boys automatically, you don't train them. They just are. In the same way, he said, please let my mind, Krishna, be attracted to you. In the same way, there's a natural attraction. However, in my conditional state, my mind is naturally attracted to the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But as I practice devotional service, I'll begin to awaken my attraction for Krishna. And then my mind will go in the direction of Krishna. Despite any kinds of other things going on around me, I won't be distracted. My mind will continually come back to Krishna. So our means of not being distracted means to continually have the goal of developing our attraction for Krishna. And in the beginning it takes practice, a lot of practice. Because the default mode of the mind is to go towards the modes of material nature. It just keeps going back there automatically out of habit. And this is because whatever experience I've had in the material world, there's an impression that has been left on my mind and in my senses. It's a very deep impression. And my mind wants to keep going back and revisiting that. So any kind of experience I've had, my mind will naturally go back to that. And as I practice placing my mind in the realm of Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting, rather than letting it go back to the realm of sense gratification, gradually I'll replace that attraction I have for the modes of material nature with the real substance, Krishna. And I won't be distracted. And a lot of it has to do with our attitude. Sometimes, as we're going towards the goal of Krishna consciousness, even the distractions that come up, Queen Kunti says, Vipada santuta sasvat tatra tatra jagad goro bhavato darshanam yat syad apunar bhavadarshanam. That the greatest, she says, let these calamities and obstacles come. Because when they do come, then I really have to pull myself together. This is the idea that when obstacles come, when there are great challenges, then I really have to dig deep. And I have to remember Krishna and pray for his help. Prabhupada says this chanting of Hare Krishna, this is praying to Mother Hara. Hare Krishna, we say. He said, just like a baby crying out for its mother, you have to feel desperate, like, I need help. Please help me. And when I'm in that state, when I feel desperation, it may not be in the ordinary course of activities, in the ordinary course of my practice, but I'll feel some great desperation. Then I call out. Then my mind's really focused. And any other kind of distraction doesn't really bother me because my priority is wholly on taking shelter of Krishna. Yes. Oh, wait. You had a question that you've been holding for a minute, and then we'll come right back to your action.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. As a parents, while raising the kids, I think this is I had a question for a long time.
Yes.
What is the best way to, we try to control their destiny and, there's a fine line, like how we should raise them versus controlling them, what they should be doing. And in order to do that, we get disturbed because, things are not happening the way we want it, or, this is very confusing state in our mind. So what is the best way so that we do what is needed rather than getting worried about what is the ultimate outcome as they grow?
Okay, Gandharvika, take the microphone and give us some advice. Then we can ask Pooja.
I really think that I am still a daughter in hands of my Prabhuji. He should answer. But I was not paying much attention to, really didn't get the whole essence of it. But one thing that I have seen work with the kids especially is they just imitate what we do. So in many instances, what I have personally seen is they never want to do anything that we don't do, and we just tell them that you should do. So that has never worked. So in that sense, kids are teachers. So if we chant, then they chant. So it's almost like if we mold our life in whatever way our kids wants us to be, I think that's the easiest way to teach them. And also, once they go beyond certain age, I personally feel that the words doesn't work, actually. because humility also develops there because they have their own ego and things like that. So at those times, I think little bit of tolerance helps, that give them their time to understand what they have to learn in their own way. So that's my understanding. But I also feel that I learned from what my Prabhuji does. Sometimes we feel that we should not force our kids to do some things. Like maybe we should not force them to do chanting. They should do chanting by themselves. But we don't think that if the kids don't brush their teeth every day in the morning, don't we tell them that they should brush their teeth? So like that, we should take more responsibility even in their spiritual things, that they should chant, they should read, and we should make them feel that it's important. Means taking care of their spiritual life is also as important as taking care of their physical body. So that's my simple thoughts that I've learned from Prabhuji. Thank you.
Pooja, any comments about growing up in a Krishna conscious household, and what has inspired you or not inspired you?
It's just the encouragement that all the parents give. When you look around you in the environment that you grow up in, how the parents are, and makes you act like, I think this is good, so I will also act this way. And then when they tell you that this is the gain you will get, and it's not good for me, it's good for you, and it makes, because we're all looking for something, what's good in it for me. So when I hear from my parents that, it'll be good for you in your life, it might be hurting at first when you see it, but then after you actually get used to it, then you'll realize that it's whatever your parents say is good, not what you think is good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bali Mardan. Two beautiful children.
Yeah, I think Gandharika Mataji well said. I don't follow some of the things. Most people think that, to be very honest. So it's actually raising a kid itself it's your own spiritual bliss and own purification, I can say, because gradually I see my own faults when you raise kids, and I correct myself more than to teach them, because there are a lot of ways you become angry and annoyed, and many bad qualities which develop, and that gives an opportunity to really realize that you are having those problems yourself. So that will definitely, it is just an imitation image, it reflects to them. So most thing we can say, as Gandharika Mataji said, that they grow, there are different tactics one should use, and the best tactic is the body language. They really understand not the words, whether you mean it through your bodies, and then they act upon it. So the best thing is, my wife does differently than I do. Because when I come home, they play with me, horsey, donkeys, everything with me, and I give them entire liberty and freedom. But one parent at least to be really strict. That means the strictness brings them, they need to not only, it's like Vrindavan Krishna, you are like lover and beloved, rather than you should be at least Vishnu, and you respect and be as a parent. No, always it's not like love and empathy, but the three key points I got is sympathy, empathy, and forgiveness.
Sympathy, empathy, and forgiveness.
The three constitutes.
And I'm understanding this, the best way to teach isn't by example. The only way to teach is by example.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ramanandasaka, your experience?
First of all, I am not a good parent. But I agree with this, and that's my realization as well, that we can only teach to the kids by example, and we cannot tell them to do something that we ourselves are not doing. So when I tell my kids to chant, I like to personally be there at that time and do chanting as well along with them, so that they get encouraged. And when I tell them to do something, for example, some devotional activity, I would like to be there at that time and do something at the same time, so that they are watching me and. So yeah, I agree with it, because teaching by example, like some few weeks ago, someone else also asked me the same question, and I gave them the same reply, that we have to teach by example.
Okay. Thank you very much. Rakshit.
Yes, I would just first comment on this experience that is being shared. To say, as a parent, we have also, in fact, observed that children pick up fast by example, in that if you give them association or expose them to association of devotees, then they will naturally pick up what is to be done at their own pace. So in there, one is giving them the opportunity to associate rather than just instruction at home. You bring them in the actual environment and they learn and take on. And that helps as a practical experience. The other point that I wanted to come back to was when we were discussing about how to avoid distraction, and you cited an important verse, which I had it here. I'm just getting to it, which was that Dharmasya verse, the import of which essentially was that one's work, if it does not create an attraction for the message of Krishna, is useless labor. That is what Srimad Bhagavatam is saying. And so it raises then the question, this often comes up, we know that we are all the time trying to figure out what is the significance of our work to Krishna in terms of how does he look upon it? Does he endorse it? Is he neutral? What is it? So this verse, I think, triggers the discussion in that it says that if one's activities do not attract the message for Krishna, and it's on page 160 of the Shloka book, so actually I'll just get the language correctly from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 8, Dharma Svanustita Pumsam Vishvaksena Kathasuya Not Padayat Yadi Ratim Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. Translation: the occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So one then asks that what does one do in one's occupational activities that actually provokes an attraction for the message of Krishna? Is the other side of the coin that would be really work that is worthwhile, wherein which such attraction is created. Is there something that one is doing in the quality of one's work that is actually bringing about that connection?
Yes, you should dedicate the fruits of your work to Krishna, because when you do that, then your occupation becomes purified and your mind naturally goes to Krishna. Because whoever you're dedicating the fruits of your work to, naturally you'll think, while you're doing that work, this work is for that person. So while you're doing your normal work, if you're giving the fruit of the work to Krishna, then you'll think of Krishna and you'll think this work is connected to Krishna. Yat koroshi adashnashi, yat johosi dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kontea, tat kurushva manarpanam. Krishna says, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you perform, do as an offering to me. And if you do that, then that becomes transcendentalized. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagnav brahmanohutam tenaiva brahmagantavyam brahmakarma samadhina. Any work that you do that you dedicate to the Supreme becomes Brahman. It takes on the same quality. Any so-called material object that you engage in Krishna's service, it becomes spiritual. Just like if you take an iron rod and you place it in fire, and you leave it in the fire long enough, it'll become hot, hotter, red hot, and then it becomes just like fire, and no difference. So whatever matter we see around us, including the kind of occupation we have, may seem material. When we dedicate it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it becomes transcendentalized, Krishnaized, spiritualized. So we have to dovetail our work and our activities to Krishna. And that can be done in any situation because ultimately everything has a connection to Krishna. You just have to make that connection.
So one is doing it then as an offering to the Lord, one's work.
Yeah, the acharyas say in the course of your work you should think that I'm doing this work on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? Thank you for the question. And yes?
Today there is a lot of interference from other wireless waves, I guess. So I turned off the wireless system for this kind of microphones. So only the wireless microphone that now works is the one which through which I am speaking now. This is the only one that will work today.
Okay. Was your question, did you feel satisfied, or do you have more to ask about?
Yeah, I would like to hear from you a little bit about the finer balance, because we are trying to control what they should be doing, and rather than what is our natural duty as a parents. If things are not going in the direction, we get agitated. It's like tendency is more about what is our duty versus what should be the destination, if that's what it is. So
I see. Well, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many stories about parents who had children, and many of them didn't go the way that they planned. And those stories are there for a reason, because the best laid plans in the material world usually don't go the way we expect them to. And we have examples. Maharaj Chitraketu, he thought, if I just get a son, I'll be happy. He was a king. He got a son, but that still didn't make him happy. In fact, it was a cause of great lamentation because the son died. And then we have the case of Maharaj Anga. And Maharaj Anga was a king, and he thought, all I need is a son, and my kingdom's complete. And he got a son, but his name was Vena. But not just Vena, his name was Cruel Vena. He was, from a very early age, such a bad seed, even though Anga was a pure devotee, that Anga finally, in abject disgust, left his kingdom behind and went off as a renunciate, just gave everything up. So, he didn't plan on that. But that's what happens in the material world. In fact, there's a Bengali proverb that says, I built this very beautiful house for our enjoyment, and now it has burned to the ground. That's the end of the proverb. And just think about it. Whatever we build, whatever we plan for, it has a tendency to go its own direction in the material world. And a dose of detachment is very much necessary, and it's also very powerful when we're doing our duty, especially when it's in relationship to others. We have to understand that there are, other living entities, especially children, have their own destiny, and they have their own, ultimately, impetus in life to go their own way. And so a dose of detachment deep in the heart while we do our due diligence is a formula given by Srila Prabhupada in the purport to Prahlad Maharaj's verse Balasya Neha Sharanam Pitarao Nashringho, in which Prahlad Maharaj says that parents can't actually protect their children. It's kind of a shocking statement, but the way he says it, it's that parents can't protect their child, that medicine can't actually cure a patient, and a boat on water can't actually save a drowning man unless ultimately the sanction of the Supreme is there. And in the explanation of that verse, Srila Prabhupada says it's not that you don't do your due diligence to educate your children, to protect them. It's not like you don't do your due diligence to take medicine when you're sick, if the doctor prescribes it. And if you see somebody drowning, you don't just leave them and say, well, whatever happens, it's destiny. We do our best, but all the time we depend on the Supreme for the outcome. And we should know that there are many reversals in this world. That's helpful to have that in the core of one's heart while we're dealing with especially children, because there's such a strong attachment to the outcome oftentimes that that can overshadow some of our decisions. But so we should do our due diligence in every aspect to help our children through setting it a good example, having an environment that's nurturing, and all the things that we can possibly do. And at the same time, we should remember these proverbs and the examples from the Shastra, and continually cultivate this kind of detachment from the outcome, what actually happens. You had another point.
Not point, Prabhu, that's a question. Krishna says that just surrender unto me that I will relieve you from all sins. But I'm just thinking about this point. I think I have also asked this question many times before, but I'm still not getting satisfied. But when Krishna says that I will relieve you from all sins, but I think he lets us go through the reactions to the sins, but he purifies, but may not be really relieving